When it comes to taking great photos, there's one fundamental concept that can make all the difference: aperture. It's the key to controlling the amount of light that enters your camera, and it has a profound impact on the depth of field in your images. Understanding aperture is essential for any photographer, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. When photographers don't fully grasp how aperture affects their shots, it can lead to a range of problems. For example, if you're shooting in a bright outdoor setting, a lack of understanding about aperture can result in overexposed images with blown-out highlights. On the other hand, if you're indoors, not knowing how to adjust your aperture can leave you with dark, muddy photos that lack depth. Without a solid grasp of aperture, you can struggle to capture the images you envision. You might find yourself fighting to get the right exposure, or wrestling with the focal point of your shot. It can be frustrating, to say the least. Take, for instance, a photographer who wants to capture a sweeping landscape with a shallow depth of field. If they don't understand how aperture works, they might end up with a shot where everything is in focus, rather than the desired effect of a blurred background. This lack of understanding can lead to disappointment and frustration. And let's not forget about the countless hours spent editing, trying to salvage a shot that could have been perfect with the right aperture setting. One of the most common challenges photographers face is reconciling aperture with other camera settings, like shutter speed and ISO. When you're not sure how to balance these elements, it can be tough to get the shot you want. You might find yourself stuck in a cycle of trial and error, wasting time and energy on shots that just don't turn out as planned. Aperture is measured in f-stops, which can seem confusing at first, but trust me, it's worth mastering. The f-stop scale is a range of numbers that indicate the size of the aperture opening. The smaller the f-stop number, the larger the opening, and vice versa. A low f-stop, like f(2.8), means a large aperture opening, which allows more light in and creates a shallower depth of field. On the flip side, a high f-stop, like f(16), means a small aperture opening, resulting in less light and a deeper depth of field. For example, if you're shooting a portrait and you want the subject's face to be in sharp focus, with the background blurred, you'd use a low f-stop like f(2.8). This creates a shallow depth of field, separating the subject from the background. On the other hand, if you're shooting a landscape and you want everything in focus, from the foreground to the horizon, you'd use a high f-stop like f(16). Let's take a look at a specific scenario where aperture made all the difference. Say you're shooting a cityscape at dusk, and you want to capture the vibrant lights of the skyscrapers. With a low f-stop like f(4), you can create a shallow depth of field, separating the buildings from the busy streets. But with a high f-stop like f(11), you can ensure that everything is sharp, from the people on the sidewalks to the towering skyscrapers. The right aperture setting can turn an okay shot into a stunning one. One of the most important things to understand about aperture is its relationship with light. Aperture controls the amount of light that enters your camera, which in turn affects the exposure of your image. A lower f-stop lets in more light, while a higher f-stop lets in less. This is crucial when you're shooting in different environments, from bright sunlight to dim indoor settings. Mastering aperture is essential for any photographer who wants to take their skills to the next level. By understanding how to control light and depth of field, you can unlock a world of creative possibilities. It's not just about technical know-how, it's about vision, artistry, and storytelling. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of aperture.